In the vast, quiet ocean of space, there are signals we expect. Background radiation, dying stars, the soft hum of galaxies breathing across cosmic distances. But on a quiet morning in 2025, something happened that no scientist, no supercomputer, and no government agency was prepared for. A star, old, silent, long believed dead, spoke. Not in light, not in heat, not in waves of natural cosmic noise, but in a pattern, a rhythm, a message that seemed to be calling someone. And the moment it reached Earth, the universe felt suddenly smaller, suddenly closer, suddenly aware, where we explore the deepest mysteries of space, the secrets hidden between stars, and the questions humanity with an overwhelming scale carries an almost comforting consistency. Silence. Not the absence of sound, but the constant, cold reliability of nothingness stretching across billions of miles. Scientists have built their careers on this silence, predicting it, measuring it, trusting it. Yet in the early hours of March 18th, 2025, that silence cracked. At 2:41 a.m. Pacific Time, the Deep Space Network in Goldstone, California, registered something that should have been impossible. A pulse, quiet, faint, but rhythmic, emerged from a region of space that had not shown activity in thousands of years. The source, a dying red dwarf known as RX-79 Hydra, located 1,400 light-years away. This star was cold, stable, predictable. Astronomers often joked that RX-79 was the sleeping stone of its quadrant, a star that had long finished writing its chapter in the universe. Yet here it was, technicians assumed equipment malfunction. Old stations often generate false readings, but the pattern became unmistakable. The pulses aligned themselves into a strict mathematical sequence, not random, not chaotic, but intelligent. Fibonacci spacing. Nature uses Fibonacci in patterns, shells, spirals, galaxies, but no star emits Fibonacci in radiation pulses. That sequence required choice, awareness, intention. As the pulses grew stronger, the room shifted from confusion to stillness. It wasn't the data that chilled them. It was the realization that whatever sent the signal knew exactly how to be noticed by the human mind. And just as one technician whispered, "Is this real?" the signal shifted again, forming a brief modulation inside the static. A modulation that sounded unmistakably like a human displayed the waveform on screen. The team fell silent, not because the shape was complex, but because it was familiar. The human voice, when recorded, creates distinctive harmonic arches. This signal contained the same arches, distorted, stretched across cosmic distance, but undeniably shaped like speech. Engineers applied deep frequency inversion, a method normally used for recovering black box audio from military aircraft. As the filtered signal played back, what had once been a faint hiss became a low, trembling whisper. Not language, at least not fully formed, but sound shaped by intent. The whisper carried tone, rhythm, breath. It rose and fell like a human attempting to speak through layers of static. The more they cleaned the signal, the more it resembled a voice trying to push through a barrier it didn't understand. But the breakthrough came when an algorithm recognized a pattern match with historical NASA data. A perfect match, the final transmission of the USS Hermes, a deep space shuttle that vanished in 1997. That final transmission had contained a distorted cry for help, a fragment no analyst ever decoded. Yet, RX-79 Hydra's signal reproduced the exact same harmonic fingerprint, same pitch curve, same oscillation, same tremor at the end of the breath. As if whoever, or whatever, sent this message was repeating a voice frozen in time. One researcher stepped away, whispering, "This star is speaking in the voice of a missing astronaut." But the truth was far stranger, because the voice didn't sound like a recording. It sounded, the signal evolved with startling speed. Its pulse rate increased, then stabilized, almost as if responding to human observation. That alone challenged physics. Natural signals do not adapt based on being watched. Artificial signals do. Conscious ones do. When the modulation expanded into a wider frequency band, something else emerged. The beginnings of articulation. Not random strokes of sound, but deliberate structures, forming syllables. The first clear emission came through the speakers, like a breath pushing against a failing lung. Slow, uneven, struggling against unimaginable distance. 3 syllables formed. Let me back. The room froze. A junior technician dropped to his knees, shaking, insisting he felt static electricity, because these words, however primitive, carried intent. Not a greeting, not a warning, a plea. Then, without warning, the signal split, creating a second vocal layer beneath the first. This new voice was deeper, colder, metallic. It spoke 3 syllables in response. Not your world. For a moment, both voices overlapped, merging into a vibration so intense it triggered seismic sensors. Something was speaking through a star, and something else, not faded, not weakened, stopped. A perfect, surgical silence blanketed the room. But this silence was wrong, too heavy, too expectant. When spectral analysis resumed, the truth surfaced immediately. RX-79 Hydra had not stopped transmitting. It was listening. Tiny reactive pulses, micro-ethos, matched every sound made in the control room, from footsteps to breath. A senior researcher whispered a question toward the microphone. The team noticed something else. The signal's cadence perfectly matched the breathing pattern of Commander Adrian Hale, the astronaut who disappeared aboard the USS Hermes. NASA has biometric voice profiles for every astronaut. Hale's unique respiration signature, fast inhale, long exhale, matched the star's output exactly. It was as if RX-79 Hydra was replaying his life signs from memory. But that was impossible, unless Hale wasn't dead, or unless something near the star had absorbed it. The message became unmistakable. It carried 2 layers, Hale's voice overlaying a deeper alien resonance. Their words merged into a single, chilling transmission. I am not alone, and neither are you. This was not simple contact, not a greeting. The breathing signatures embedded within the pulses. The shock was immediate. Commander Adrian Hale's biometric voice data had never been released publicly. Even inside NASA, only a tiny group of mission specialists had access to it. And yet here it was, echoing flawlessly through a star 1,400 light-years away. The discovery sparked a quiet panic inside the room. If RX-79 Hydra carried Hale's voice, then one of 2 impossible realities had to be true. Either the star had somehow absorbed his final transmission and preserved it for nearly 3 decades, or something near that star had interacted with him directly. Scientists began pulling archived mission files, including classified Hermes documents sealed since 1998. One line from Hale's personal log froze the room. If anything happens, follow the signal, not the silence. No one understood what he meant at the time. But now, decades later, something was following that signal. The star could be acting as a cosmic recorder, amplifying trauma signatures from Hale's last moments. But that idea collapsed instantly when Hale's voice shifted into a tone that was unmistakably present, current, alive. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't in pain. He was calmly narrating something he could not possibly be experiencing anymore. The pulses aligned into a new formation, no longer Fibonacci, but coordinates, a location near the star itself. The coordinates repeated 7 times, then faded into a heartbeat-like rhythm. Suddenly, the voices stopped. replaced by a slow, deliberate pulse pattern, a binary signal, one that spelled out a single word: arrived. Hale had vanished in 1997. Now, in 2025, something was telling Earth analyzing the RX-79 Hydra's light curve. Its brightness changes over time. But what they found didn't match any known stellar physics. The star's luminosity wasn't fluctuating randomly. It was pulsing with intention, matching its light output to the cadence of Hale's replicated voice. Stars don't modulate light based on communication. Not naturally. Not by accident. Yet this one had developed patterns so intricate they resembled neural firing, the same electrical spikes found in a living brain. When the data was fed into a machine learning model, the output stunned everyone. The star wasn't signaling, it was thinking. Or more accurately, something inside the star was controlling the light as a form of thought. The team attempted to model the energy required to manipulate a star from within. But every calculation ended in numbers that simply shouldn't be possible, growing stronger as the Earth rotated closer into optimal alignment. Then came the most disturbing discovery of all: fluctuations that matched emotional stress signatures. Hale's emotional stress signatures. Hale was known for breathing heavily under pressure, an odd pattern that made him unique among astronauts. The star replicated that breathing exactly when the signal spiked, as if it were reliving Hale's emotions in real time. As if it now had to consider something outrageous. Perhaps RX-79 Hydra wasn't just a star. Perhaps it was a container, or a shell, or a mechanism built around something older, something capable of communication, mimicry, and memory. The idea came from comparing its energy emissions with typical red dwarf cooling patterns. Real stars cool slowly over billions of years, but this one had shifted temperature in seconds, like a machine rerouting power. One theorist proposed it might be an artificial megastructure, a cosmic engine disguised as a star. At first, the suggestion sparked laughter, but that laughter died when the star emitted a pulse strong enough to briefly overload Earth's radio telescopes, creating a pattern that resembled a technological nested layers rotating around a core. The design was unlike anything humans had ever imagined. It didn't look built, it looked grown. That pulse was followed by another modulation of Hale's voice, this time clear and distinct. It is not like us. It learns from what it keeps. Keeps. Not saw, not found, not copied. Keeps. Whatever lived within RX-79 Hydra had not merely recorded Hale. It had taken him, preserved him, absorbed him, perhaps even used him as an interface, an emotional template for communicating with Earth. And the deeper question loomed: if this thing could keep someone, could it release one that violated a dozen international protocols? For the first time in recorded history, Earth would respond to the star directly. A controlled message was prepared, encoded in multiple formats: binary, mathematical constants, and a simple spoken phrase. When transmitted, the message shimmered across space like a thin thread of intention, racing toward RX-79 Hydra at the speed of light. 75 minutes later, far too soon for a light-speed response, the star replied, "Impossible." Earth's message had not reached the star yet, but RX-79 Hydra reacted instantly, almost as if it had anticipated the message. It wasn't light, it was gravitational. Earth-based instruments recorded a microscopic gravitational ripple, tiny, harmless, but patterned. And that pattern translated into Hale's voice: "Do not send more, it feels you when you speak." The room filled with dread, because if the star reacted before receiving Earth's message, then it wasn't responding. It was listening to Earth, no longer chaotic, no longer fragmented. These were structured memories, not human memories, something older. Images embedded in waveform distortion showed landscapes with no horizon, structures floating in black fluid, shapes that defied anatomy, shifting as though made of both matter and light. These were not hallucinations. They were encoded, intentional memories, something the star wanted Earth to see, wanted Earth to understand. But one image returned repeatedly, a dark chamber where gravity folded inward like a throat. Hale stood inside it, not broken, not dead, but altered. His outline blurred, his eyes reflecting light that didn't exist. He wasn't being tortured. He wasn't imprisoned. Something beyond comprehension. His voice, inside the pulses, no longer sounded human. It sounded layered, like 1,000 variations of himself speaking at once. And the star finally released a phrase that seemed to echo across every monitoring device on Earth. He remembers you. That is why we chose your world. Defense councils, they all received the data within hours. Arguments erupted worldwide. Should Earth continue listening? Should it reply? Should it shut down communications entirely? The danger was clear. A star, or something inside it, had targeted Earth specifically because it recognized Hale's species, humanity, and because it had learned how to imitate emotion, language, breath, memory. But one more pulse arrived before a global decision could be reached. The pulse carried no voice, no coordinates, no instructions. It carried beginning at 73 hours. When scientists mapped the countdown's endpoint, the result froze every room on Earth. The timer ended exactly when Earth would rotate into perfect alignment with RX-79 Hydra's communication path. No one knew what would happen then. But the final phrase of the pulse left little comfort. It is coming through the dark, became the center of every conversation, every emergency briefing, every moment of sleepless speculation across Earth. It ticked downward with cold precision, ignoring borders, politics, and fear. Scientists mapped its decay curve repeatedly, hoping it might slow or drift. Any sign that the phenomenon was random or influenced by natural astrophysical cycles. But the timer never changed pace. It was constant, unwavering, deliberate. Meanwhile, RX-79 Hydra's pulses grew stronger, reaching Earth's instruments with increasing clarity, as if the star were leaning closer with every passing hour. And then something even stranger began to occur. Around the world, people reported hearing faint tones in moments of complete silence. Single-note vibrations that resonated deep within their bones. Not loud, not painful, but familiar in an unsettling way. Recordings from different continents and analyzed them together. The tones formed a pattern identical to Hale's original respiration signature. Somehow, the signal was no longer confined to the electromagnetic spectrum. It was influencing atmospheric resonance, vibrations in the air itself. A physicist at Caltech described it best. It feels like the star is breathing through our planet. As the countdown reached 48 hours, global anxiety surged. Governments attempted to keep the situation classified, but leaked fragments spread rapidly, igniting public fear. People demanded answers. Scientists demanded time they didn't have. At 41 hours, RX-79 Hydra emitted a new pulse. This one carried no words, no coordinates, no emotional texture. Instead, it delivered a pattern that resembled a message template, like a blank linguistic structure, waiting to be completed. The implication was staggering. The star wasn't just something unprecedented occurred. Earth's ionosphere reacted to the star's pulses, forming faint auroras far outside typical polar regions. They shimmered in red and gold, colors not produced by usual magnetic storms. Observers described them as moving like thought. Migratory animals began shifting their patterns, responding to distant vibrations that human ears couldn't yet detect. Seismographs picked up microrhythms, synchronized with the star, like planetary heartbeat fluctuations. Humanity had never experienced anything like this. It was as though Earth had become an extension of the star's communication mechanism, an external instrument tuned into a cosmic language far older than attempted to block incoming signals. RX-79 Hydra responded instantly, redirecting its pulses around the interference as though it anticipated resistance. That was when experts reached a chilling agreement. This wasn't a message being transmitted to us. It was a message being transmitted through us. At 18 hours remaining, something new appeared in the star's emissions. A soft, harmonic tone, unlike the harsh pulses before. When slowed down, the tone transformed into a layered structure, multiple voices speaking as one. Hale's voice lay at the top, clear and eerily calm. Beneath it, deeper voices pulsed in unison, like a chorus made of gravity itself. The combined message translated into a single sentence. Do not fear what you meet, fear what follows. Governments scrambled for interpretation. Religious leaders declared it a sign of revelation. Scientists insisted caution, but the countdown continued. Indifferent to humanity's confusion, astronomers using deep field imaging detected a distortion behind RX-79 Hydra. Not around it, behind it. Light bent unnaturally, as though a massive structure stood just outside the star's visible boundary, hiding behind the glow. The distortion resembled a shape not forged by nature, revealing a hollow interior deeper than physics allowed. Stars do not open, they collapse, they explode, they fade, but they do not open. Yet RX-79 Hydra opened like an ancient door, revealing tunnels of light that curved inward toward a central core. Inside that core, something moved, slowly, deliberately, like a creature awakening for the first time in millennia. Hale's voice trembled as he spoke again, layered with the deeper resonances. It remembers us. It remembers everything it keeps. The deeper voices followed, and now, neared 3 hours, people around the world began reporting an identical dream. A dream of standing beneath a sky, filled with spiraling light, hearing a voice calling their name. Not shouting, not pleading, simply calling as though recognizing an old memory. Children woke up crying without understanding why. Elderly people whispered that they heard the voices of family long gone. Psychologists dismissed it as mass anxiety, until EEG readings revealed synchronized neural patterns across different nations. Humanity was beginning to share the same thoughts. Or rather, the star was synchronizing us. Hale's voice returned, but it was different now. Calmer, almost guiding. It needs a mind to cross. A door must open from both sides. Then, the deeper chorus. Scientists realized the unbearable truth. The connection was emotional. Hale had once been human. Someone's son, someone's colleague, someone's friend. The entity inside the star used memory as a bridge, building a path from its realm into ours. And humanity, through fear, curiosity, and grief, had already begun opening that door. The last pulses before alignment formed a harmonic resonance that caused global power fluctuations, satellites shimmering with interference, and the atmosphere glowing faintly. The star was preparing to cross. The world went quiet. Power grids flickered, then stabilized in an unnatural stillness. Winds stopped across continents. Ocean tides froze mid-motion. For 12 seconds, Earth experienced absolute calm, a silence deeper than any in recorded history. Above the Pacific Ocean, a shimmering vertical line appeared, like a seam tearing open in the fabric of space. It extended from horizon to horizon, glowing with the same red-gold light emitted by RX-79 Hydra. Data streamed from satellites, revealing gravitational curvature bending inward toward the seam, like the star's interior structure was pressing through a crack in reality. Then came the voice. Not through speakers, but through the air itself. We cross now. A silhouette emerged. Not a ship, not a creature, but a geometric lattice resembling the structure seen behind the star. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, wrapped in metal and light. As it descended toward Earth, Hale's voice spoke one last time. "Do not fear, I am not returning, something else is." Then the deeper voice completed him. "It has learned enough." The lattice expanded, stretching across the atmosphere, surveying, observing, imprinting. But it did not attack. It did not communicate further. It simply watched. And then, slowly, it folded itself back through the seam and vanished. The seam closed, ocean tides resumed, wind returned. The sky dimmed. The world remained in shock. No governments issued explanations. Scientists could not agree on what had occurred. The only consensus was this: Earth had experienced first contact, not with a species, but with a consciousness distributed across a star-like structure. And it had chosen Hale as its messenger, not because he was special, but because humans remembered him. Because emotions bind us across time, and the entity had learned to use those emotions to reach into our world. But even after the lattice disappeared and RX-79 Hydra fell silent, one final anomaly persisted. Around the world, radio receivers picked up a faint heartbeat-like pattern every night at exactly 2:41 a.m. Almost subconscious, but present. And embedded in that heartbeat, barely audible, were 6 words, spoken in Hale's layered voice. "This world is not alone anymore." Then the signal faded permanently, and the star finally slept. We often assume nothing is watching, but every discovery reshapes that belief, reminding us that the universe is not empty, only quiet. And sometimes explore more unseen mysteries, hidden signals, and stories the stars are trying to tell. Subscribe to Stellar Quill. The universe is opening its doors, one question at a time. Stay curious, stay awake, and remember, silence is never just silence.